This is Tom Brink. Welcome to a very unique case study on the genetics of marbling. You can follow through on these slides as we discuss this case study on marbling, and you'll get a better idea of what we're talking about. This one cow, G25, produced 15 progeny as part of the Southern Carcass Improvement Project being conducted by GardinerAngusRanch. Join GardinerAngusRanch and Igenity in an industry-wide contest where you guess the marbling levels of 2 sire groups. The top 3 finishers will receive free DNA tests from Igenity. The contest winners will be announced at the GardinerAngusRanch 8th Annual Fall Bull Sale on Monday, September 24th, 2012. The Gardiner family asked me to present this information to you. It's part of the Southern Carcass Improvement Project that the Gardiners have been working on for the last several years. How many times do you get to see 15 progeny from one cow, all born in the same year and all harvested at the same time during the summer of 2012, in this case, just recently in fact? Let's talk a little bit about G25, the donor dam that was part of this project and produced the 15 progeny by the 4 different sires. This cow was actually a Georgia origin cow. She came from the state of Georgia. She's really of unknown genetic background. She's a red bald face cow, red brockle face cow, as you can see in the picture. She really did not have a lot of visible ear from the standpoint of southern type genetics. She was a high scoring cow when it came to marbling. When she was tested by Igenity, she had a DNA marbling score of 7 on a 1 to 10 scale, and she also had a DNA score of 7 for percent choice, and so this cow clearly possessed above average marbling genetics. These 15 progeny, again, embryo transfer calves out of one cow. They had 4 different sires. 2 of the sires were very high carcass potential Angus bulls. The other 2 were southern oriented bulls, probably more selected for being adapted to a southern environment than for carcass traits. This cow, G25, that was her tag number, again produced these 15 progeny. 8 of these progeny were by the southern bulls. 7 sired by the 2 Angus bulls, which both had marbling EPDs in the very top percentiles of the Angus breed. We can see as we look at the DNA scores on G25, the donor cow, and also on the 4 sires, we observe that the Angus sires both scored above the cow. Even though she was a high DNA marbling score cow of 7 on a 10 scale, both the Angus sires were higher with an 8 and a 9 on those 2 sires. On the other hand, the 2 southern sires, probably selected more for adaptability and less for carcass traits, scored only a 5 out of 10, or more in the middle of the 10 scale. Now let's talk a little bit about the DNA scores for the progeny versus the cow herself. The cow, as we've already mentioned, had a DNA score of 7 for marbling. Pretty good on a 10 scale, 7 out of 10. Her Angus sired progeny actually averaged a DNA score of 8, which of course is even better. So the Angus sires moved this cow up, and we could certainly call this genetic improvement because the progeny scored higher than the dam. On the other side of it, the southern sires moved this cow down because their progeny scored only a 5, lower and in fact genetically, we would say this would be a lack of improvement or actually going backwards in terms of their marbling potential versus the cow that was their mother. Now let's talk a little bit about the DNA scores for the progeny versus the cow herself. The cow, as we've already mentioned, had a DNA score of 7 for marbling. Pretty good on a 10 scale, 7 out of 10. Her Angus sired progeny actually averaged a DNA score of 8, which of course is even better. So the Angus sires moved this cow up, and we could certainly call this genetic improvement because the progeny scored higher than the dam. On the other side of it, the southern sires moved this cow down because their progeny scored only a 5. Lower, and in fact, genetically, we would say this would be a lack of improvement or actually going backwards in terms of their marbling potential versus the cow that was their mother. Once you've decided what your guesses are for the two progeny groups, go to the home page of the Gardiner Angus Ranch website. Click on Contact Us. It's in the lower left-hand corner of the home page. And then enter your name, your ranch information, your address, and for sure your email contact information. And down in the comments block, you can enter your average marbling score guess for each of the two sire groups. So label 1, the southern sired group, and then put your average marbling score guess, and then label the next one, your Angus sired group, what you believe the average marbling score was, and put that number in. If you felt like one of these two sire groups had an average marbling score somewhere in the select grade, you would pick a number between 400 and 499. For example, if you thought they fell into the low select grade, the bottom half of select, that would be a number like 425 or 440, something in that neighborhood. Or if they were in the high select category, that'd be the upper half of the select grade, which might be something like 470 or 490, because again, the select grade runs from 400 to 499 points of marbling. Now let's say you thought one of these two groups averaged high choice in the upper 2/3 of the choice grade. In that case, you would guess a number between 600 and 799. So think about what you believe each of these two sire groups would do in terms of their average marbling score. The southern sired group, those 8 progeny, and then the Angus sired group, those 7 progeny that were sired by the high marbling Angus bulls. Then click Send, and you'll be entered into the contest. Thank you for entering this contest. The winners will be announced at the Gardiner Angus Ranch 8th Annual Fall Bull Sale at the ranch near Ashland, Kansas, Monday, September 24th.